Hi, my name is Cassandra, and I'm a statistic. About a year and a half ago, I started getting close with this family, and it was amazing because I'd never had a family before. I mean, I'm not an orphan. I have a mother. I just never had a father, and my mom was pretty vacant when it came to emotions and feelings and motherhood. So I finally had this family support. I finally had this family love, and then a lot of things happened, and what it felt like in my heart was that they had abandoned me. I don't know what was going on in their heads or their hearts, but to me, it was just another reminder that I wasn't worth it, that I wasn't good enough for love of any kind. I've always believed in God, but for some reason, I thought that His love excluded me, or His forgiveness or grace excluded me because my problems were so big. I started pushing everyone away. I became anorexic and bulimic, and I still struggle with it to this day. Since then, I became numb, and I can't really express what numb feels like. It's not emptiness. Emptiness is better. Emptiness means that you can be filled with something. Numbness is void of all emotions, all feelings, all wants to be okay, all wants to be there. I was working on everything. I was working on my depression. I was working on the anorexia and the bulimia. I was starting to be okay. I was still really numb all the time. Then I met this guy. And, I mean, even now, I still remember some of the great times we had in the beginning months. He made me feel alive. He made me feel something other than nothing, I guess. Our relationship was beautiful. I truly loved him, and I know that he truly loved me. But he had no self-control, and neither did I. We went really far, and we didn't have sex at first, but the numbness that had almost left came back with a vengeance. I became depressed again, thinking that all I was worth was sex. And I wasn't in an abusive relationship. Not at all. I just didn't know how to handle giving myself away to somebody who I knew I wasn't going to be with forever. And he didn't understand that. He didn't understand my want for purity. And he didn't understand that he hurt me when he didn't stop. I tried to commit suicide twice, both by overdosing. Neither one of them worked, obviously, but that didn't stop me from wanting to not be here. October 12th, I went to his house, and we had sex. That was the first time we had completely crossed every boundary and actually had sex. I stayed up the whole night, and I wrote my letter to everybody, saying goodbye. That next morning I went home, and I got ready for a music thing. I don't even remember what it was called. This was the morning of October 13th. That morning I texted my friends, I texted my family, I said, I love you. And a lot of them texted back and said, what's wrong? A lot of them texted back and said, I love you too. No one knew. When we got home that afternoon, I drove home, with my sister. As she was getting out, I looked at her and I said, "You know I love you, right?" And she said, "Yeah, of course." Well, it all worked out perfectly, and we went inside. I got the pills, and I was so scared that I was going to be taking them when someone walked in. It ended up that my mom left to go to the library, and my sister left to go hang out with somebody. So I was home alone. I took all of the pills. 20 Tylenol and 8 sleeping pills. Tylenol because I have an ulcer, and I figured that much blood thinners and it wouldn't even be flowing. It almost worked. The guy who I had had sex with called me when he got off work, right when I was done and I was falling asleep. I told him what I'd done, and he came to my house, and my mom came home, and my sister was terrified. And all I remember is my sister being so sweet. She kept asking me if I wanted a glass of water, and all I could do was lay there. They took me to the hospital, obviously to the emergency room. I just remember my sister picking me up and putting me in the car. And I remember getting to the hospital and her picking me up out of the car and taking me in, and I was so tired. I kept falling asleep. And then they were trying to draw my blood, and I was screaming. They sent me to Bryan RGH for 6 days. During those 6 days, the doctor there told me that it was a miracle I wasn't in a coma because of the pills and my ulcer. I didn't know what it was like to be happy. I didn't know what it was like to look at life and say, "I'm so glad I'm here." But at that moment, it hit me that I'd never wanted to go back. And that's when everything started changing. I can't say that everything stopped. I wanted it to. But I still talked to that guy. We still had sex again when I got back from the hospital. I still cut. I have scars and I look at them every day. And I still wanted to die for a really long time. It's been 6 months almost. In 11 days. It'll be half a year since the last time I tried to kill myself. The one thing that got me through it was God. Someone told me once, now that I had sex, all I am is a statistic. And that's true. I am a statistic. But I don't fall into the category of girl who had sex. I fall into the category of girl who came back. God healed me. Still is healing me. He took my heart and he made me new. In his love, I look back at that day. I look back at that pain. And I don't even understand how I felt it. My name is Cassandra. And I'm made new.